Hi, I'm Stacey and I'm really excited to be in the Pigeon Letters Design Team for the 22-23 year. This is my cat Monday. So if you don't know me, I love to make watercolors, but I also love to paint with them, and I'm also I'm obsessed with cats. Anyway, I'm also really fascinated by rainbows, and what I would love to do with you today is paint a meditative rainbow. And the thing about painting rainbows is it's all about choosing the colors and also incorporating a bit of shimmer, perhaps just for a little bit of fun and sparkle. And with rainbows, I'm going to teach you as well lots of different brush strokes that you can do as well. So because that's another thing that you can add a bit of flair in and have fun. So today will be all about painting fabulous, beautiful rainbows and incorporating a bit of your personality if you want. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so let's get started with the basics. So when we are working with the paintbrush and we're wanting to paint a fabulous rainbow with different lines and textures, patterns, we would definitely benefit from practicing some of those patterns first. Great way to get a feel for maybe a preference that you might have. So just grab yourself, just a cold press blank piece of paper and any color. And what we will do is we will practice some of these brush strokes together. Right. Let's get started. So make sure you've got your cold press paper secured down with some washi tape, and you're just using any size brush that you're comfortable with. I'm using a size 4 and just any kind of color, and we're just going to go straight in there and practice drawing our lines. And so this is a great opportunity to just practice how thin you can get your lines with the certain brush that you would wish to work with. And with practicing lines, you can also do some cute little dots, and you could even make some bigger dots. There we go. And so these are fabulous textures that you can use with your rainbow. So we can add some dots on a line like so. And what have we got next? Another line. We're just going to add some little lines going along. I actually use this a lot, but I usually use different colors for the lines going across. And then we're doing some lines going down. So you just can have them just as that, going around the rainbow. And then we have some lovely waves or squiggles or a long worm. And next we have some lovely little arrows. There we go, ziggy zaggies. And another line with some arrows, and you can change the direction that the arrows are pointing if you like. After this, just some dashes, and of course the other way if you wish. There we go. And some little squiggles. And after that, just some, I don't know what you would call this, some waves. There we go. The other side, of course. It's always good to practice the other side, see what it looks like. And just a whole lot of lines together just to see what that looks like as a texture. And also, instead of just a line of dots, you can do a whole bunch of dots like that. Leave it like that if you want, or you can put a different color around the dots as well. And what else have we got? Let's have a look. So you can do some big fat dots, and you can fill them in, or you can leave them with clear in the middle. Some little spirals. this is a great one for practicing your brush control. And you might already get a feel now while you're going through this activity which patterns you quite enjoy. And we just got, you know, a straight line here and just some little cute little bumps. There's probably a name for it, but I don't know it. And after that, let's do some dashes going down. And this would be the other side of the rainbow, like that. And I don't know if you want to call this like uncommitted clouds. And that's what it would look like going around like that. And next up we have gorgeous little hearts, and I'm varying them up a little bit. They're not all uniform, and good idea to practice what kind of a heart you want, whether you want to fill in the heart, you want a tiny little heart, you know, a narrow heart, or a flat looking heart, skinny little heart, whatever your heart desires. After that we have some dashes. Dashes are great. I use dashes a lot. Sometimes I use them when I'm using a shimmer, so I'll use the dashes over a matte. And these little ones here are I guess your disconnected little tiny little clouds. And then this one here, I'm just diluting my brush with a bit of water and then adding the water in. And this is another thing that I do a lot, is like a washed out gradient wash for the rainbow. And sometimes I go back in and do wet on wet to apply a little bit more texture on it. Let's go. So the recommendation is to actually just cut a bigger piece of cold press paper into smaller pieces like this. This is probably an A6 size. I love working with the smaller sizes. They make great little note cards. Secure it down onto your surface just to prevent a bit of the buckling or moving around while you're working. Let's go. So we get our colors out ready. I've gone for a pink, yellow and a blue, and the shimmers are just common color shimmers, silver and a bronze, nice and sparkly. We want to pre-wet those and let them soak for a good 1 to 2 minutes because we want them to be nice and pigmented and ready. You can work from a palette or straight from the pan if you like. Okay, let's paint a fabulous rainbow. So I'm starting out with my outer edge and I've gone for the pink. You can be completely random with which color you choose. I've gone for the bigger size paintbrush here. I think this is a size 8. And I am just getting stuck right in. Now the thing with the rainbows that I paint is I never aim for them to be perfectly shaped. They can be quite wonky, and I think that's what makes them extra special, because it's not about perfection, it's just about the rainbow, and whatever shape they're going to be, they're going to be. So I just go in there with the really pigmented outer edge, and then I sort of occasionally will dilute my brush and sort of do a gradient wash on the outer sort of big fat rainbow edge, and every now and then I'll just dip my paintbrush back into the pan or the palette if you're working from the palette to get a little bit more pigmentation just around the edge. And this technique itself, you're already working on the wet surface, so it's like a wet on wet technique. So I'm just going around there, picking up some of the color, moving it around. I find this part of the process very meditative, and I'm just literally just going with the flow with this. I don't use the pencil to draw out the lines or anything. I just put the paint straight onto the paper and I just go with the flow. And then when I'm satisfied with an approximate shape that's not quite perfect, slightly wonky, then I'll move on to the next color. But I always like to add a little bit of a sort of darker pigmentation around the edges. and it's quite neat watching it dry as I go. And this is fabulous for practicing your brush control. There we go. Splotches wherever I like. Tidy it up at the ends. You can go around the inside if you want. Add a little bit of pigmentation there. And just rinse out your brush. And I'll just use a paper towel just to pick up the colour if there's any there. Moving on to a smaller size because I want to do a different size line, and this is a size 6, I think. I do love working with a size 6 brush. It's my favourite size, and it's really important to have a brush that has excellent control with the way it delivers the paint to the paper and the point of the round brush as well. And so I'm just going for a slightly thinner line, and you can see that I'm just letting it get a bit fat because it gets a little bit wonky in parts, so I just go with it and make it a bit fatter. So yeah, it's slightly wonky to the right there, but I don't mind. Rinse out the brush, yellow, and I'm going for a smaller. I think this is size 2, and 2 is really great for those little details. And I'm going for a really thin line here. So this is why rainbows are really great, because you can practice your brush strokes, really, really thin strokes. And it does help to have different size brushes for that. Now I'm going to incorporate a shimmer. And remember, these have been soaking for a while, but with the shimmers, I do like to make sure that there's no water lying on the top when I pick up the paint on my brush. So I make sure that I give it a good mix. That's what you saw me doing there before. And I'm just going around there doing a nice sort of medium fat line. And I do love working with shimmer. It's quite fun. This is such a great way to incorporate shimmer. And so just rinsing that out. And I'm going to go for a little bit more yellow because that other yellow was very thin. So I'll do a slightly thicker line there. There we go, very pigmented, that yellow, nickel titanate yellow. And I decided to go for the same size. I'll do the silver. Love a silver. Always recommend a silver in your palette. Silver, gold, bronze. And I'm actually just going to fill that inner rainbow in the middle there. Beautiful. Look at that silver. Nice and sparkly. Rinse it out. And before we do any patterns, we just need to let this dry. So those paints can just wait there until we're ready to do the next layers with the patterns. Okay, so now that it's dry, definitely make sure it's dry. We can add on the extra patterns. So this is why those the pattern practicing we did earlier, it was going to come in handy here. So I'm going to go for my favorite, which is the dashes. And this one's a great one because it kind of it's filling in some of that blank space in between the two lines there and creating a contrast. I do find it quite relaxing adding in the shimmers over the rainbow, sort of adding these details in. It's quite relaxing to do. And I do not keep these lines uniform. As you can see, some of them are quite thick, some are thin, and some are short, some are long. I'm sort of keeping a moderately uniform space between them. Let's fill that gap in there. There we go. But yeah, I am just going all the way around there with silver. There we go. And I think I'm done with the silver. Let's move on to the bronze. And I am going to just rinse that out and make sure I got it on there. I think this is a smaller brush because I'm going to go for some tiny little dots. And I'm just going to add them there. So what I've done in a way is I've tried to have a bit of a gap between the two shimmers, just so that it has a bit of a balanced feel. And I think the key with painting rainbows and incorporating the shimmer is just trying to keep a balance of not sort of overwhelming the rainbow, you know, like having too much pattern or too much color. So that's why I always choose, you know, a set limit of colors in matte and shimmer. Just going over some of those dots that look a little bit flat. Voila! We have a fabulous, fun and sparkly rainbow. And look at all that beautiful pattern shimmer. And what I do with these is I like to keep them, and on the back I write a little note and I send them as part of Happy Mail, Happy Rainbow Mail. So I hope you had fun, and I hope that I get to see your beautiful, sparkly, fabulous, fun rainbows. I am really excited to see the colors that you chose, as well as how you incorporated different textures with the paintbrush strokes that I showed you, as well as some that you might have created yourself. I'd really like to see those. But more than anything, please tag me so that I can see them and share them in my stories. I think that rainbows are just beautiful and cheerful, and I just love to have them around me. They certainly cheer me up, so I hope that you will share them with me, and I look forward to it.